Alright everyone, it's time for a quadruple update here actually. Just some general content sort of compiled together. It won't make an individual video for each topic. First and foremost, I am now approaching 10,000 followers on Bitchute. Link in the description to my page there. Apparently, once you hit 10,000, and I may be the first person on the whole platform to do this, which is why it's like, please, help me get to that point. It'd be great. Once you get to that point, there's going to be some sort of award from them, a bronze level award, which I hope is, apparently it's something that's going to hang on the wall, so I'll be able to display it. I really want one to display for Bitchute, so, if you can get me to that threshold, I think it'd be great. I would love to be the first person on, what I think is going to eventually be a considerably larger site than it is now, judging from what they're planning to implement. It would be a real honor, actually, to be the first person to hit that threshold. So if you could join me on there. And also, all the content I put on YouTube is there. For anyone who, at this point, is like, they're looking at a Google product and they're like, yeah, maybe not. Bitchute, I think, has a model that'll allow it to sustain itself. And it appears to have grown to the point where it's now rivaling VidMe at its peak, as far as size. And they don't have any of the problem with the political material there, so I'm safe on that platform. Secondly, a link to my Dailymotion account. Now this is an old account, I've actually had it for years, but I've finally caught up with uploading all of the backup content. There are only 3 kinds of things that I back up to Dailymotion, and potentially a 4th in the future. I'll discuss that some other time. My occult literature videos, my general occult videos, and some of my music. It's sort of a non-political presence. For those of you who don't really give a shit about politics, either for the occultism or the books or something, Dailymotion has all of the same content. I've also got to back all that up to Bitchute in due time. That's a project for the future. It's also a project to try to figure out how DTube works at some point, but I'm having a little bit of difficulty with it, let's just say. Third update is actually that I will be very soon working on my garden. Things are beginning to thaw out. It's March. In a couple weeks, it'll be consistently warm enough during the day that any snow that does fall is not going to stay around very long. Some of the perennials are beginning to actually come out of the ground, which is abnormal. It's abnormal that they would do that this early. There are actually lilies and daffodils starting to sprout under their own debris. There's some greenery over on the side garden. I'm going to be revamping large swaths of the garden and expanding. Now that I have the money to invest in it, finally, after tax time, I got to make sure that that's absolutely taken care of. Once that's done, I'm going to drop a couple grand, actually, on expanding and improving. And I got to use cinder blocks on the fence, expand it, add a couple new beds, raise the beds, actually, with wood, and because that brick is going to be used for another project of perennial flowers, on the side. I'm going to completely redo large parts of it, and it all has to be mulched. I'm going to do some lasagna gardening too. I've got a bunch of bags of leaves and twigs and straw and other debris. I'm going to be basically mowing that, putting it on the ground, mowing over it to break it down a bit, pile it in layers in the garden between layers of manure, compost, other goodies to make these raised beds. That's one of the most fertile ways to handle gardening. It really improves aeration, worms will move in. It should be great, and the garden hopefully will be properly guarded against most pests as well this year, so it's going to be great. And also, a 4th update, I will be debating on the 3rd, actually let me look here, 6 p.m. Eastern on March 3rd, so a couple days from now. I will be debating Nick Fuentes, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, correct me if I'm wrong, on the topic of religion, it's various subtopics. Basically, he is a Catholic, I believe, and I'm a pagan and an occultist. We'll be debating some, general religious content. And it's a friendly debate, where we're not going to be sitting there slitting each other's throats, but it is basically blood sports. It's an issue a lot of people find touchy. I'm going to make my points, he's going to make his points. It's going to be a bit more structured, I think, than some of the other discussions that I've had, or at least that's the plan. I still haven't read over all of the questions yet, but I believe I'll be doing that today. It's going to be interesting. So it's going to be a pretty fun time. And a fun time will be had by, I'll link in the description to the channel, actually, GorillaRadio.tv will be hosting it. I expect all of you to show up. I think the chat will be open. I think there will be, towards the end, will be like they'll be taking a few questions from that as well for us. I'm not exactly sure. The structure is not 100% defined, I think. But it's going to be fun. And why religion? Well, why not? Yeah, why not? Who cares? I can't touch the topic of nationalism. Debating over that has become toxic, and basically you don't convince anyone of anything. Politics in general, debating over that has become almost passé in many cases. And then some of the blood sport stuff is more like death match between personalities in general on a personal level. I try not to get into that stuff. It's funny, it's entertaining, but I try to stay on the fringe of it. Occasionally I'll stick my nose into the situation, but not really, because I don't want to be part of any argument that becomes toxic. If you've been part of it in some way, it drags you in. It's like a black hole. I don't really want to do it. I got too much of my work to do. I got books to write. I got books to edit. I've got videos to make. And not on the topic of how much I fucking hate somebody. So those are my 4 updates. Garden. Please join me on Bitchute and on Dailymotion. Maybe some of you have accounts there, actually. A lot of people probably don't even know I have a backup page there. I know it's a semi-dead platform, but, it is there. And it is stable, and there's nothing there they can censor. I don't have any political material there. And then, of course, my upcoming debate, which is going to be, I think, rather interesting. That's about all. Peace out.